we're going to try to tell a well-known story, and we need that suggestion from you, please, for perhaps a fairy tale. And the way that we're going to tell it, we've got 6 of us lined up. Myself, Oshima, Alla, Minu, Pretigaya, and Nancy. And each of us is going to tell a part of the story in a different way. So we've got a suggestion offer for Hansel and Gretel. Or Hansel and Gretel.
Yes, Hansel and Gretel.
Yes.
Hansel and Gretel, and they go to the 2 kids end up at the house made of candy. Off you go, Pretigaya. Hansel and Gretel, like we've never heard it before.
Welcome all of you. Make sure you're sitting in a comfortable posture with a beautiful, quiet environment around you. And just as your environment is nice and comfortable, there was a house by a beautiful forest where one could breathe in and out, nothing but for fresh air. And by this forest, there was a cottage where lived Hansel and Gretel. Hansel and Gretel really knew how to balance themselves. They were a boy and a girl, a brother and a sister. But then there was a little problem. Their parents always found it difficult to balance because their father was their father, but the mother was a stepmother. So they never found a balance really in their lives. And that, my dear friends, can really affect the children. So one day, the wicked stepmother, she took a deep breath and she gave a sharp look and she decided, today is the day when I'm going to get rid of these 2 children. She quickly cooked up something and she went up and put up an artificial smile and she said, "Oh, my dear children, come with me. I will show you how to walk straight. And we need to walk on a special path to get our posture straight. And this path goes right into the forest, a perfect place for both of you to do your yoga and reach a higher level deep inside." And so they set out on their path, and Minu can take it over from here.
Good evening. Welcome to Plotluck News Hour. No fake news is our power. Flash news just in. A little boy, a smart boy, outsmarts their wicked stepmother. And here's the main story. In the faraway feast land, just as our correspondent Pretigaya had just informed us at the Plotluck News channel, we hear that Hansel and Gretel, the 2 children, walked deep into a forest by their wicked stepmother. But this little boy was quite smart that he carried white stones, little stones or white pebbles in his pocket, and he dropped the stones as he walked deep into the forest. And the wicked stepmother thought she was smart, and she and her husband walked away telling that they wanted to cut some wood. Hansel and Gretel had their bread, but as I said, this boy who was quite smart had dropped the pebbles to mark the path. And as the sun set and the night began, the parents, as expected, did not return. And the smart boy that Hansel was took his little sister Gretel along with him as he followed the path marked by the white stones that were shining bright in the moonlight, and returned to his father. It was indeed a happy reunion, but will the wicked stepmother come up with another plan? Stay tuned for more news at Plotluck News. No fake news is our power.
So this is the story all about how a boy and a girl walked into the woods. Now they were smart and they had these pebbles. Plop, 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 he dropped the pebbles and he came home. Yes, he came home and the stepmother, ooh, she was not happy. And so the next day she took them away again to do some yoga, she said. But then it was such a surprise. The little boy had no time to grab his stones. His stones. He had no stones. So what did he do? Well, he had some bread. And he thought that the bread would work. And so he plop, plop, plop the little pieces of bread here and there and everywhere. And on they walked into the woods. And on they walked into the woods. And she left them there. And she went home. So Hansel and Gretel, they looked at each other and they thought, we'll make it home again. We'll just follow the crumbs. But you know, and I know, and you know, and I know. The little birds came and they came and they came. And peck, 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 they ate those crumbs. And soon there were no crumbs no more. No more, no more. And so what to do? What to do? They continued walking round and round, round and round and round and round. And this is how it goes around. And let us continue with the show. Who is next? Please show now.
Oh, well, isn't that a terrible, terrible thing when there's no more crumbs? I know. That's why you've tuned in for my show, because I'm here to teach you how to cook when you haven't got the crumbs, you see. So I live in a beautiful, my kitchen, oh, it's just made of candy. Oh, yes. And that means that people want to come here. You see, the important thing, because of inflation, the cost of food has gone very high, hasn't it? So it's important that you get the food. You don't go to the supermarket and pay money. No. You get the food to come to you. And that's why I have a house made of candy, because that attracts the children. Why children? Good question. Very good question. Why are children a delicious ingredient? Well, of course, when you get to my age, you don't have the teeth. You don't have the teeth. Whereas children are nice. They're soft and juicy. They're not chewy. You see, you don't want old people because they're just all like bones. Good for the calcium. Good for the calcium. I mean, it's nice to have an old person now and again, just for the calcium. But children, they're nice and soft. And of course, when you've got a child, well, you don't want a really skinny child. That's why I didn't like the boy. No, the boy when he came, you see. So you've got to feed them up with a nice bit of, just a little bit, so that they'll grow bigger and fatter and plumper and tastier. And while you're doing that, well, then you get the girl. You see, the girl comes with the boy, so you get two for the price of one. It's a wonderful scheme, really. So you want to know how to make boy pie. Well, that's good. Yes. Boy pie. Oh, I could. Well, you see, you get the fan. You got now when he's nice and plump, and you've tested that because you test his finger. You see, oh, that's nice and thick. See, that's a good finger. There's a lot of meat on there. Don't look at me like that, madam. You're not cooking me. No. So when he's nice and fat and ready for the cooking, well, you sprinkle him. I like them with rosemary and sage. I find that goes very well with boys. Girls, not so much. No. Those I like just to put a little bit of pepper, salt and pepper is nice for girls, but boys, some rosemary and sage is good. Yes. And then now you try and push them into the oven, and that's the tricky part.
Ha. I have so much to tell you. I know you definitely have heard about this strange family where the mother died. We should know the reason, but we don't. Yeah, we were told that she was sick, but was she sick in fact? And her father got in you, very nice, very pretty wife. But That's a very strange woman. When the other day I said hello to her, she said, huh, to me. Huh? Is it a nice way to say, huh, back to hello, lady? Wow. I tell you, she's not a good woman. So, one more question. Where are their children? Where are their children? You know, I've heard once, the last time they were seen next to this candy house. I guess you know this old witch who lives there inside this candy house. Huh. She runs the baking shows. She runs the cooking shows. But I wish you've seen her the last time. You know, she told us how to cook children. So now imagine this poor little these poor little innocent children. They were seen entering this candy house, and they were never seen again. I wonder what is going on, what is going in there. We don't know. We don't know. I wish I'll run there and try to see what's happening there inside.
Okay. So do you know what happened to the children? Okay. They went into the candy house, good, sweet, and everything was great. But do you know whose house it was? Oh, okay. It was a witch's house. And I'll tell you, the witch was planning to get the children fatter and finally cook and eat them. But, you know, it's good to have a good wisdom to survive. The children actually were so smart. So one time the witch told to boil lot of hot water, you know, in a big pot. So smart children just followed her demand, but thinking when is the good timing. They waited, and the time came. Do you know what they did? Okay. Sometimes you have to be brave. They stood behind her. The witch was watching how good the water is boiled. And the time came. They pushed the witch into the pot and boiled her. That way, they killed the witch and survived. Thus, the sweet house was theirs. The moral is you have to be brave and cruel when you need to. Then you will survive and you will live happily ever after.
Wonderful, wonderful.